and welcome to the Sportscast, March 7th, 2018, Wednesday. We got Ryan Christa on the Sportscast today. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Hey, Santiago. Glad to be here.
Pleasure. Thank you for coming on the Sportscast. So, a lot of things have been going on. Things are starting to sprout up. Liberty University lost the Big South Championship this past Sunday. Let's start off with that.
Yeah, it's tough for you and I as alumni to say that. It's always an accomplishment to make it to the finals. They had a decent year, but it's always magical this time of year. They go on a big run, and then we're playing our local rival, Radford University. It's in their gym, but we got a lot of fans there. It's awesome. It's 50-50 crowd. You see excitement, back and forth game, We get the ball with 1 minute left, but, we didn't really run a great set, and we're forced to take a long three-pointer. Missed it. They come down. They wait to the last second, take kind of the same exact shot we took, and they make it. So it came down. We missed our shot. They made it. And now their headlines, every time you turn on ESPN, you keep on seeing our shot, which is, it hurts us in the heart here, Santiago. Right, a dagger. But
let's get the background behind this.
Hopefully we make it to some postseason tournament. But
as far as I know, Richie McKay came back this past season, correct?
This is the second season.
Oh, second season since he came back. Okay, because he's done this before. A couple years ago, he took a hiatus and then came back. Apparently, Richie McKay does well with Liberty basketball.
Yeah, he came the first time. The first year was kind of wrapped around bringing in Steph Curry, brought a lot of notoriety to the basketball team. University is kind of buzzing. Some of our biggest crowds consistently were coming watching that team. They didn't necessarily win a lot more games, but there was kind of a lot of buzz. And then all of a sudden, kind of unprecedented in sports, he goes from a head coach and takes his job as an assistant coach in Division One at a bigger school. There, it's still kind of unorthodox to say, but goes and learns a lot about defense from Tony Bennett, the great coach at UVA. Kind of brings back that same style, very methodical defense first, kind of way of playing. Last year they won 20 games. This year they won 21 games, so they're on the right path. We have most of our feedback next year, so hopefully it's on to the big dance next year.
Yeah, and how far would Radford go in the big dance?
Well, if they go playing in the first four, they may win one game, but if they don't, they're probably going to get squashed by some number one seed. So, not too far.
NFL Combine has been going on for the past week. What are your thoughts?
Well, to me, I know a lot of the scouts obviously use it. I think a lot of the work done in the Combine is done behind closed doors, because this is really like the first time NFL teams get a chance to personally talk to a lot of these players. Teams got to talk to some of these players in the Senior Bowl, but they didn't get to talk to any of these underclassmen. So it's the first time they can have a real conversation. Combine's famous for interviews. They try to get as much out of these players, get to know them, and see if they're the right fit. And that's what we really don't see. We really don't know what goes on behind those doors other than these interviews taking place. What goes on in the field, I think the show was stole by Shaquem Griffin, though, the player from Central Florida, ran a ridiculously fast 40 time. What makes him unique is that he's only got one hand. he became kind of famous right before the combine a couple weeks ago. He finally got his invite because he hadn't been invited yet, even though he was defensive player a year, 2 years ago in the American Conference, and had maybe even a better season last year leading UCF to an undefeated season. But I don't take a lot from the combine because it's just a lot of stats, a lot of numbers. Sometimes some of the worst combine performances end up being some of our best players in the NFL right now. But this is what the scouts and the GMs use to part of the way they decide who they're going to pick in the draft, but not the only way.
Will this be a quarterback draft?
Oh, highly, yes. Huge quarterback draft. And again, I think we've talked this for a couple weeks. You really can't do a mock draft about quarterbacks until we know where Kirk Cousins lands. Is he going to land, with the Vikings, which if I had to put my money on, I would say, now that he hasn't been franchised by the Redskins, he can pick and choose where he goes. Or is he going to go with the Jets, the Broncos, or the Cardinals? Because all four of those teams, if they don't get Cousins, they're probably going to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, he actually had a tweet yesterday or maybe 2 days ago about, hey, I'm a free agent. Anyone have any suggestions or open suggestions? But you think it's the Vikings.
I do, because that's the most ready-made team right now.
I don't know. I mean, they have three good quarterbacks. They got Case Keenum that led them to the NFC Championship. I stick with my guy.
Well, right now, though, all three of those quarterbacks are free agents. So they could sign one of those players. But they're saying that if they bring in a more talented quarterback, that could definitely put them over the edge. Because you got to remember, Case Keenum, he was brought in to be a third-string quarterback. So his reputation, he doesn't have that great skill set within the system they had last year. It worked, but remember Pat Shermer, the offensive coordinator, is now the head coach of the Giants. You've got Teddy Bridgewater, who has such a limited sample size because of his injury. And finally, you don't know how good a player is going to come back after such a major knee surgery. And then you got Sam Bradford, who has the talent, but he can't stay on the field. So that's why I think, they've got such a great roster that the Cousins got to Minnesota just makes the most sense to me.
And free agency starts in 7 days in a week. Ryan Christa will be here with us live, and hopefully, you're right. I think whatever happens with Kirk Cousins is going to determine a lot of picks. I'm interested what the Giants will do. They have pick number 2.
Yeah, to me, the Browns take a quarterback that is a slam dunk. I feel like the Giants have to take Saquon Barkley. He's the best player in the draft. At a position they desperately need help at. And, because again, if we got Eli for at least one more year, if not more, you bring an electrifying player like Saquon Barkley, and that's the running back's the easiest position to go from college to the pro because you just run. You do what you do best. So I think to me, it's a slam dunk. As long as the Browns don't take Barkley, that the Giants will.
And Eli has not had a good running back for a while.
No, I mean, we can't diss on our guy Rashad Jennings, but he hasn't had I'd say it's been quite a bit of years since he's had a consistent running game to work with. That's for sure.
Steve Ross was quoted the other day that Miami is not a great sports town. I agree. I'm from Miami. So you think he's right?
You know more about the landscape of the city, but watching from a distance here in New York, when the Heat are good, when the Dolphins are good, even when the Marlins are good, I still don't think they support that team great. So, but especially with the Heat and Dolphins, they're definitely there when the team is good. But when the team struggles, there's a lot of empty seats. And, again, also with the Miami Hurricanes, several years that stadium was completely empty on Saturday afternoon. So this year, Mark Ricketts brought a lot of enthusiasm back to the U, and they played a lot of prime games. So you saw that stadium feeling a lot more than usual. But, those three major teams, the Heat, the Dolphins, and the Hurricanes football, the proof's in the pudding, that the city does not show up when the team is not great.
Yeah, I mean, they're not the same as the Northeast teams, where it's generational. We're talking about, 2 to 3 or even 4 generations back that had these teams around. But Miami is a fairly new city. It's I guess the oldest team is the Dolphins, and they came about in the 60s. And yeah, you're right. When they win, they show up, but they don't show up. So like the loyalty is not all there, and there's a lot of outsiders, a lot of transplants. If you go to a Dolphin game against the Giants or the Jets, almost half the stadium is the away team. So that's something that we need to improve on. And that's the doubt with the soccer team. I think MLS is, it didn't work out with the Fusion, but maybe this location will be better. But it's crown and jewels is what it takes.
Yeah, it's not just Miami. It's a lot of, I would say warm cities deal with their sports teams is, in the Northeast, we don't have a lot of outdoor activities because of our weather. When it comes, we don't have a lot of, exotic things to do outside. When you get Miami, San Diego, Los Angeles, there's a lot of entertainment things to do outside of sports. In the Northeast, in New York and Boston, all those cities, it kind of revolves around the sports teams.
Yeah, and which is why...
That's why you've got a lot...
Yeah.
That's why those teams, even when they're not great, the stadiums and arenas are always filled because there's a loyalty there, and there's just not as many, things to do outside of sports.
Yeah, and like those mid-city teams like Oklahoma City, there's not much going on a Tuesday night. So they go to the OKC game, and they're blessed with good players, like Russell and Melo and PG. So there's certain type of variables that have to go. And Miami's not the only one. Los Angeles has that same problem. Atlanta has that same problem. So it's not just us. The only place in the South that I've noticed that do well in sports is Texas.
Yeah, the geography, has so much to do with it. And you're talking about Oklahoma City. Remember, Oklahoma City Thunder is literally one of the few sports teams in the heartland of America. You think of the Middle America, and you think of the Deep South, Alabama, Mississippi, most of Louisiana, most of Georgia. What do you think of? You think of the SEC, and you think of college sports. The Midwest, you think of the Big Ten and the Big 12. There's no major cities in those middle of America. Those are college sports towns that revolve around their college teams. And so when you do have a sports team like the Oklahoma City, you see a great enthusiasm at the arena, win or lose, because they bring that college-type, energy. You watch a sports game, no matter where it is, on an average regular season game, good game or not, there's not much energy buzzing in the arena. But you go to watch, an Oklahoma City Thunder game, and you can just see the energy. Whether it doesn't even have to be an important game or a playoff.
Yeah, and that's something that I give them a lot of props for. That same thing happens with MLS teams. I think it goes well with mid-sized, cities like Salt Lake or Kansas City. Not St. Louis. St. Louis doesn't have a team. I think they were talked about, but and then Minneapolis also. I mean, I've been to Minneapolis. They got all the teams, but it's definitely a small
it's
small
not a
vicinity.
big city. So you see, it's kind of a bigger city in like in the heartland of America, the middle of America.
It is middle of America. When I was there, it felt like middle of America.
You do have all the sports teams in Minneapolis, but it's a bigger city, but it's not a huge metropolitan area.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's geography does play a huge part in sports.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, smaller rural areas are going to gear towards the college because they don't relate to professional sports very much. Well, bigger cities, they tend to, even in Miami, they still relate to the glamour of professional sports.
Yeah.
And that's even when it comes to the college team, like the Hurricanes. Back in the day, during the Jimmy Johnson era, that was treated as a professional sports team. Like the way they were, the coverage and the way they carry themselves. And that's why they became so popular in Miami, because it didn't feel like a college team. And that's kind of what Mark Rick is bringing back to Miami right now. In the same way that USC during the Pete Carroll era was treated in Los Angeles like a college team. That's all like had pro players on it.
Yeah.
And the way they were stars in that town, that wasn't a college team. That was a college team playing in a pro city, treated like a pro team.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like when I was in Alabama, they did like the whole state. It felt like went to Alabama. That was their team. That's what they were carrying on.
It's a lifestyle. It's a different way in the deep south, and in you go to Ohio. You do have professional teams in Cleveland, and you have some teams in Columbus, but in Ohio, the one team they talk about all the time is Ohio State.
Yeah,
because that's what
absolutely,
that's what everybody
I would say in Miami,
it's just a different way of. Go ahead.
Right now, in Miami, the number one team right now is the Heat. Even though they're not impressive, they're not number one, but that's the number one sport. I think it's basketball.
Yeah, I can see that, especially now they can relate more to that. They want the superstar. Now they got their superstar back. Dwayne Wade isn't Dwayne Wade of the old, but it feels like you got your guy back.
Yeah, he's.
So you got a lot more attention back. You had a good team before I think they're hoping Whiteside became that superstar, which he hasn't. He's been good, but he hasn't been that superstar. I think they have to be that, but he's a good player. But those players don't fill the seats just because those they're playing. Dwayne Wade fills the seats because he's there.
Yeah, ticket sales went up.
LeBron James fills the seat because he's there.
Yeah, ticket sales have gone up.
Go look at any NBA team besides the Cavaliers, and go see when the Cavaliers come visit them, that team. Look at StubHub and see the prices. And go see when LeBron James comes to town and see the difference in the prices between when an average NBA team comes and then when LeBron James comes, or when the Warriors come. The NBA is driven on stars.
Yeah, that's the trend that's working on. We don't know when that team spirit will happen, but other than that, the Rockets are in a 16-game winning streak. Are they the real deal?
They are the real deal. I started to say, I think the last time we talked, I started to believe, and I really believe now. It's interesting. You look at the defense efficiency. This team plays really good defense, and that's no firepower. I feel like this team has just kind of turned the corner, and I'm obviously they're on the collision course to face the Warriors. But I'm not going to say they're going to beat the Warriors, but I definitely think they're going to give the Warriors a great test. Kind of the same way 2 years ago the Thunder gave the Warriors everything they wanted when they had Kevin Durant.
And the thing is, like the Rockets, have a plan, and I think their plan is to secure home court advantage because that's like their chances increases a little bit against the Warriors. I still think the Warriors are still going to beat them, but they need home court advantage and then take Warriors to 7 games.
You see, especially late March, early April, you see a lot of resting. I don't think you're going to see that from the Rockets because they, like you said, they definitely want that number 1 seed. And I think the Warriors, I don't think it matters too much to them being a number 1 seed. The same way for years, the Spurs didn't really care what seed they were. They knew that they had the parts, and it didn't matter whether they're on the road for Game 7 or at home for Game 7. And I think that's how the Warriors feel right now because they've been there. They feel tested. They feel like, they feel like their season doesn't begin until the playoffs, really, when you've gone to the finals 3 straight years. The Rockets are still searching for that feeling, so they're going to play out this regular season to the very end.
The Rockets have a championship prodigy, 95 and 94-95 championship wins. They want to relive those glory days, those short glory days. Ready for random questions?
Let's go for it.
What is your favorite late night food?
Since I'm from the great city of Rochester, New York, there's only one choice, and that is a garbage plate. Have you ever had one, Santiago?
I have not, but I heard that's the place to go when you go up there.
You got you.
If you moved to a new city with $100, what would you do?
Buy a ticket to the nearest sporting event.
Fair enough. Well, Ryan, thanks for coming on to the Sportscast.
All right, thank you for having me. Again, love you, Mindy and Cleet. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.